Quad66. I've done a fair bit of talking about these motors on this motor competition here, or shootout. And I figure it's probably about time to do some showing rather than just talking. So these motors on here, the first one's up, these are the Hyperlite 1103, or 1103.5, sorry, and these are a 12,000 kV motor. And I'm flying them on the G&B red label cells, the 720 milliamp 100C cell, and I'm flying it on that FPV cycle Tune RC board. So when we're looking at the motor performance, a lot of it's going to be kind of this stick feel in terms of what I'm having to put into the throttle to get the quad to respond. But then in terms of like the video and the audio, probably one of the biggest things to look for is the pitch. So I'm going to stop talking here for a second. What you want to look for is how high is the pitch when we're on a full punch out. So you can kind of see what the full punch out looked like there. And you can also hear it. You can hear how high the pitch is, and that's going to correlate to thrust. Because I'm going to swap the motors out without doing anything different. So it's going to be the same board. And I'm going to swap out, put in those Flywoo motors, which are the 1203 11,500 kV. Now, I meant to do this on 100% clean props, but unfortunately, this is actually my second go at this. I had the phone set up so that it was in the sun, and I'm recording the audio on the phone, and unfortunately I cooked the phone and it shut off and I didn't have the audio I wanted, so I'm doing this again. And unfortunately I had one little crash, and so it nipped up the props just a touch. I kind of cleaned them up, but there is going to be a little bit difference, and so these might not sound 100% as clean as they could. So otherwise, in terms of the quad, the tune's going to be the same, and you can see this tune is pretty clean with the snap rolls there. And when I want it to kind of respond, it responds really well. The throttle band on the motor is good, but actually let me show you the prop wash first. So with these motors, if I sit into it, you know, with the throttle down, you can kind of hear the prop wash. If I stay in the throttle, not much prop wash at all. So that looks pretty good there. In terms of like power band and like low speed handling, oh, there was a recovery right there. Hopefully the battery didn't shift or anything. But let me show you the low speed handling and try not to nip anything this time. No, not my day, I guess. Yeah, I'm sure the props are going to be a little bit beat up. All right, let's see if we can get in here and do this right. It's always hard kind of bouncing back from that kind of stuff because you get a little hesitant, and when you're flying that tight stuff, you can't be hesitant because that's just going to cause you trouble. If you get behind, that's when you run into trouble, is when you're not aggressive enough. So where are we at? We're at 4 minutes flight time, 3.7 volts. So it's pretty good still. The volts are coming down a little bit, and so if we look at what the punch is doing, we'll do these little punches over the house. You know, we're starting to lose a little bit, but you can still do it. You can still get over. So it still looks pretty good. And the handling's still good. So again, these are the Hyperlite 1103.5 motors, 12,000 kV motor, a little bit lighter than the Flywoo. Flywoo is a 1203. And I'm flying this on this 700 milliamp battery. And honestly, with these motors, the bigger motors and these Emax props that I like, this big battery still flies pretty well. Like, I still feel pretty happy flying it in terms of the responsiveness. Look at that, we're at 5 minutes, 3.6, still good voltage. So I'm kind of liking these batteries. The battery's starting to grow on me. I do fly this also on the yellow label cells, and I get about a minute less flight time. You probably have a little bit more float and speed because that cell is definitely a lighter cell. And it's going to change your flight characteristics a little bit. Not that much, but it's going to change them some. Alright, so now battery, I'm going to call that done. So 540, 550, calling it done. That's almost 6 minutes. That's a pretty good flight time right there. Alright, so I'm going to land this and I'm going to change out the motors. Here we go. Alright, switched out the motors. So now we're on the Flywoo 1202 motors, or sorry, 1203 motors. So let's do a punch out. Let's stop talking here and listen for the. Let's listen for that pitch again. Where did that color go? Maybe I cooked the board a little bit. All right, another punch out. That's a pretty solid punch out for 1S. All right. So I've got this is the same board, Flywoo, or sorry, FPV cycle, Tune RC board, and same size battery with that red label GND 720. I should double check that. It's like 7 something. I think it's 720 mAh battery. And obviously there's AVAN or VIA props, Emax VIA props. Unfortunately, I'm getting some goggle fog early, which is going to be a little bit of a problem. Missed that one. Shoot, can't see very well because of the goggle fog. Well, hopefully I can still show you what these motors can do. The hover, by the way, is about the same. I forgot to show this on the other motors, but the other ones it was about 29, and so you can see the throttle in the bottom right hand corner. Hovers at about 29%. I forget what I have my D-shot in there. But haven't changed those settings. So in terms of the tune, same tune on here. You can see it looks good. I think these have a little bit more prop wash. I'm going to kind of slouch into it. And then similarly, if I stay on the throttle, you can get rid of the prop wash. So it's not bad. I don't know. I don't know if I can tell a difference here. One of the things that's a little bit interesting is that I think with these props and motors, we're pulling enough amps to where this slightly bigger battery might actually work better. It still feels good, like the maneuverability and the nimbleness and stuff. Let's see where we're at. So 344 and we're at 3.7 volts. So that's pretty good so far in the flight time. Oh no. Huh. Let me get that real quick. Sorry about that. Too much goggle fog. I didn't see that. Hopefully that doesn't throw things off too much. Little pause in the flight. I don't know. Maybe some people get skeptical about it. I do have another one of these batteries charged, so I can always fly one more. Oh, what was I doing there? I don't know. Alright, now the battery's pretty low. Let's see that punch over there. It's still there. Not bad. I don't know. I like these motors. I like the Hyperlites also. I'd be hard pressed to declare one a winner. Maybe the thrust stand would give us a little bit of insight. Nice that. Jeez, timing's off there. Let's get it right. Oh, that's why I got into there. Kind of went too far. Oh. Where are we at time-wise? So that's a solid flight. Look, we're at 5:30 of flight time, 3.55. We still have a little battery left. Let's try and burn it out. Oh, there goes dipping. So I'll call that battery done. 5:44. Yeah, it's done. Bring it in. Quick final wrap up here. I feel like I got a pretty good back-to-back comparison between the Hyperlite 1103.5s and the Flywoo 1203s. I also went, after I did those flights that the DVR that you just watched, I went ahead and also just subbed out the gem fan props. So I pulled off the A-bands or the Evias mid-pack, threw on the gem fan, and finished out the pack, and then flew another pack afterwards. And I think the bigger difference is really the props. I am much more of a fan of these Emax Avia props, even on the Flywoo motor, and I just really enjoy flying these props. The responsiveness is just much better than the 3018, which is kind of sad. I mean, the 3018 was sort of like, you know, the pioneer here in this sort of class, but there's some kind of dullness to it. I do think it's probably just got too much pitch near the hub. That's my speculation, but it just doesn't. It's just not as crisp, and it makes it much less fun to fly. In fact, when I was flying this, I was kind of like, I don't know, I wanted to stop flying. It was kind of making me hangry because I wanted to fly with the Avia props. I think that part I've got really noticeable difference. But as far as between the Flywoo and the Hyperlites, I don't know. I mean, I think it still would be good to like have two twin quads and literally flying pack to pack without any gap in time in between. But I think I'm pretty hard pressed to like kind of declare a winner on them. I think if anything, I may have my bias is to want to like the Flywoo better, and that makes me think that I may like, if I just truly was going by flight feel, I may like the Hyperlite slightly better. I don't know 100%. There's a little bit of difference in how the power comes on, and I think that the Hyperlite may be just a little bit easier to handle, just a slight touch, but I don't think it's a deal breaker at all. Like it's so minuscule that I think unless you're truly flying them back to back, I don't think you notice, at least I don't notice the difference in the type of flying that I'm doing. So I can give a pretty solid recommendation to these Flywoo as long as they hold up. I'll fly them more, beat them up, see how they hold up. If they hold up well, then fantastic. That's a great motor. What's also kind of interesting though with this setup here is I do have more flights on the 600s, so these are a little bit more beat up, but these 720s, these are supposedly rated at 100C versus the yellow is at 90C. And initially I was kind of like, I didn't think that the additional capacity was really doing much, but that wasn't necessarily on this setup. Actually, well, pull off the motors and also put on with the Avia props. With the Flywoo and with the Hyperlites with the Avia props, I'm actually kind of liking this battery better, even though it's got heavier weight. I still feel like it's got enough nimbleness and I've got enough control and enough responsiveness, but I do think that this delivers just a little bit more kick than the 600, and that's a big old battery. It's 720, but I think I just prefer a little bit better. Maybe now if I have brand new ones of the 600s, maybe it narrows the gap a little bit. But I think even the weight, after I got used to it, I think I kind of like the weight and being able to maybe throw it a little bit better. And so it's a good option. It's something you should try. Batteries aren't super expensive, so if you're contemplating it, grab one or two of each. These though, these might have disappeared. They might have relabeled these as like a 500 or something, because where I saw them before, I think I got these off Pyrodrone. They don't have them anymore. And now there's like I think like a 660 battery and like a 500 or something. I'm kind of wondering if they, I don't know, relabeled this down from 600. I'm not sure. It's a little speculation, but so at the end of the day, both motors fly well. But definitely I would, if you haven't tried the Avia props, the Emax Avia props, I would definitely try those, 100%. And then battery-wise, give the 720s a try too. I'm kind of liking them. And so I think I'll leave it there. All right. Till next time. Cheers.